Right, guys, just a little video today. Basically going through some yardages down the range. As you can see, I start off with my sound wedge. I always start this end of the bag personally. Always start with sort of the wedges. Now this is about 2/3 into my session, so obviously going to hit quite a few shots. I'm already pretty much warmed up, so I always tend to go from sort of sound wedge up to driver, never the other way around, just sort of to loosen up and get an idea of numbers. So the reason I'm doing sort of a gapping session, obviously, the weather in the UK is pretty bad at the moment, so it's just good to have an idea of where your numbers are in terms of where they are in the summer compared to the winter. So just trying to basically confirm the numbers, what I know compared to what's happening down at the range today. So it's in my opinion, it's really important to sort of definitely do this quite regularly, every sort of 8 weeks or so, just to check your numbers, see where you are, especially if you're going through some sort of swing change, which I am at the moment. Through this swing change, I'm definitely finding that I'm striking the ball a bit better. I'm definitely getting the ball a bit out, well, certainly getting it out there a little bit further. So these numbers are pretty basic. This is obviously down the TrackMan range with the converter. So from what I'm told, it is pretty accurate. I think personally, it kind of deviates a little bit at the top end, especially in the driver, because you can see some mixed numbers, especially if you play some of the games on the TrackMan screens. But yeah, no, it's a good session. I'm working on a few things at the moment as well. This is actually me swinging it quite bad. I was quite stiff yesterday. My lower back and sort of around the hips section certainly wasn't rotating how it was the previous week. But I'm just getting prepped for a competition next week. We've got the Cornish Alliance down at St Enadoc. So just trying to sort of home in on the numbers, get a feel for where my swing is. My tendency, and if you probably be able to see it on this swing here, is my lower half goes quite early. So my hip rotation overtakes my sort of chest and shoulder rotation. So sort of halfway on my backswing, my hips are already kind of fully open, where my shoulders are sort of playing catch up. So my sequencing's a little bit out. Now, we tend to want, as a golf coach, we tend to want the shoulders to go first, then the hips, and then sort of your legs. So we want the sort of 90-degree shoulder turn, 45-degree sort of hip turn, and then we want the sort of left knee just behind the left ball. Behind the ball. Whereas at the moment, I kind of go shoulders and hips at the same time, and then the hips kind of just take over, and then I'm playing catch up with my hands, so I can get a bit flippy and a bit handy through impact. So I'm just trying to slow that down. So you'll see me do a few sort of practice swings, especially as we go through the numbers. You'll see me do a few sort of practice swings where I just take the club back on plane, moving only sort of my chest and feeling like my hips stay still. They don't, but it's just something I have to feel in order to slow that process down. But yeah, no, really happy with where it is at the moment. It's getting there, keeping that right elbow tucked in as well a little bit, just to keep me a little bit on plane. I do have the tendency to go over the top. And when your hands are out of control a little bit, like mine are at the moment, with a closed club face, if you're coming over the top, you're just going to hit straight pulls, and that's exactly what I've been doing. So just trying to soften up the hands, get the right elbow tucked in. As you can see, I'm doing there, trying to keep it close to my sort of rib cage, which is allowing me to drop that club a little bit more on the slot. I'm still over the top a little bit, but from what it used to be sort of a year ago, 18 months ago, to where it is now is it's a massive improvement. I've gone from being quite a fader of the ball to now pretty neutral, if anything, to a slight draw of the ball. So, definitely stick with obviously improvements into changes, and this is the time to do it at the range. So I've hit quite a lot of balls today, 200 balls I think I hit, which is quite a lot for me. I tend to only ever really hit sort of 50 to 100 balls, especially when I'm on the range, because I find I lose sort of interest in it, if I'm being honest with you. I find that, on the course, if I'm shooting any more than 80, then I've had a really bad round. So I don't really want to go out into the range and hit more than, say, 75, 80 balls anyway. I always start with a few wedge shots, because on the course, depending on what your percentages are, if your greens in regulation, you're gonna hit plenty of wedge shots into greens and sort of chips around greens. And then I go on to sort of full shots, and then I hit half a dozen drives, because on the course I'm only hitting about half a dozen drives anyway. So I try and keep it kind of relatable to how my game is. And yeah, it's a pretty good range session. And the thing to take from range sessions is they're not always going to be good, but take the positives from that day. Like today, I'm not hitting it very good, my tendency today was a little bit of a left miss. So if I was to go and play straight afterwards, I'd be like, all right, look, this is how my theme's going today. This is exactly what it is. So I'm definitely going to just start aiming slightly right target and letting that natural swing just sort of take over and just hit these little draws to pulls that I'm hitting on the range. So always take the positives out of a range session. It's not always going to be great, but at least it will give you an indication of where you are that day. The whole point of practicing and being on the range is literally that, is to practice. Don't take too much from it, apart from what you're working on. You know, for me personally, I don't do much short game on the range. I just go sort of full game, because I'd rather go to a short game area, chipping area, around the putting greens and stuff like that, and to do that kind of technique and that kind of them kind of shots. So yeah, just a quick little video, just touching on some yardages. Quite happy with the way the swing is at the moment. If you've got any comments, drop them down below. If you've got any questions, or if you're after any tips, just drop some questions down below and I'll definitely be able to get back to you. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. It's just like literally pretty simple. Me just sort of getting sort of tournament prep for next week, and just working on a few technical bits within my swing. But yeah, I'll leave you on this one. This is another pretty good drive, to be fair. 283 for me is a pretty good number, especially in these conditions. So yeah, pretty happy with that, ladies and gentlemen. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.